Welcome to Teacher Time Mastery, the podcast made for secondary English language arts teachers like you, with your host, Becky Czar.
Combating Burnout, an actionable guide for secondary ELA teachers. Hey there, fabulous ELA teachers. It's just you and me today, and I've got some serious teacher-to-teacher talk coming your way. Teaching is like juggling flaming swords while tap dancing on a frayed tightrope. Am I right? It's exhilarating, but it can also lead to dreaded burnout. But fear not, because I've got something that will have you laughing, thriving, and slaying that burnout dragon. Introducing the free Combating Burnout, an actionable guide for secondary ELA teachers. This ebook that I've written is all about finding balance, setting boundaries, and embracing the joys of teaching without sacrificing your sanity. Trust me, it's a game changer. In this guide, we'll explore practical strategies like cultivating authentic connections with students, something that we're all familiar with, but picture this. A classroom full of students who give you a standing ovation. Okay, maybe not a standing ovation, but at least not throwing things at you, right? We'll also dive into project-based learning that'll make you feel like a Hollywood director, guiding your own Oscar-winning stars. And in the voice of infomercial master Billy Mays, but wait, there's more! Get ready to embrace multimodal literacy and unleash your inner Spielberg. Let your students explore literature like never before. Give them options to create a screenplay of a story, act out a movie, or whatever creative interpretation they can come up with that demonstrates their learning with some fun. And speaking of fun, we'll talk about student-led discussions that'll make you feel like you're hosting a talk show right in your classroom. Oh, and the grading ninja moves you'll learn. If grading has ever gotten you down before, you won't believe how you can grade selectively and save time without sacrificing quality feedback. It's like your grading mojo just leveled up, and you're breezing through that pile of papers with ease. But here's a little secret. Setting boundaries is like being a superhero. It can be tough, but so worthwhile. Prioritize your time. Learn to say no and stick to it. And communicate your working hours like a boss. You'll reclaim your personal time and sanity, my friend. And guess what? Your students will appreciate you even more for being a superhero role model. So get ready to laugh, thrive, and change lives, one punny metaphor at a time. Grab your capes because we're going to slay that burnout dragon together. Are you ready to be the ELA superhero you were born to be? Go to the show notes, click the link, and download your free copy of Combating Burnout, an actionable guide for secondary ELA teachers, where we'll laugh, learn, and create a classroom experience like no other. You won't want to miss a single moment of this ebook. Okay, so once you've done that, let's dive deeper into some topics not discussed in the guide above, starting with a new way to cultivate authentic connections with your students. You know, when you create a supportive classroom environment where students feel seen, heard, and valued, magic happens. So imagine this. You host a literary feast, and your students bring in dishes inspired by their favorite books. It's like a potluck party celebrating literature, and the classroom is buzzing with excitement. Everyone wants to try everyone's dish, and you could have them create little plaques saying what book it's from and why they chose this dish. Awesome connection. You'll bond with your students over their culinary creations, and they'll see you as more than just a teacher. You'll be the conductor of their literary adventure that'll continue through the rest of their lives. They will forever remember how you pulled them out of the classroom to connect with books. You can even do something like this for a class-wide novel or a short story even. My students and I did this as a class for The Namesake in extremely rural Kansas. I'm talking about the nearest Walmart being an hour away. And most of those students had never even tasted Indian food before. They had no idea what the culture was actually like. So, we teamed up with the FACS class, the Family and Consumer Sciences class, to make the food mentioned within the pages of the book. Talk about a connection. That was such an amazing day. And speaking of adventures, let's talk about project-based learning. Picture this. Your students are creating podcasts, producing short films, or writing persuasive essays on teenage issues that matter most to them. It's like you've unleashed the creative beasts within, and they're going full Hollywood mode. You'll feel like a director of a blockbuster movie, and your students will be the stars of the show, ready to wow their audience. Now let's dive a little deeper into the world of multimodal literacy. Ever thought about exploring literature through graphic novels or digital storytelling? It's not a cop-out. It is a legitimate way to explore literature in a way that's a lot more accessible to students, especially those who are struggling. It's like you've discovered the secret ELA recipe to engage even the most reluctant readers. Your students will be hooked on literature like never before, and you'll be like the literary magician who made it happen. Oh, and don't forget the power of student-led discussions. It's like you've become the talk show host of your classroom, and your students are the brilliant guests. With thought-provoking discussions and open-ended questions, they'll lead the way, challenge each other's perspectives, and discover the true magic of critical thinking. Think of Socratic seminars, fishbowl discussions, debates, or even just simple open dialogue. You'll be in awe of their insights, and they'll see themselves as the stars of their own intellectual show. It may take them a second to warm up, but once you get that engine running, it will take off. All right, so let's take a moment to embrace mindfulness practices. Imagine starting each class with a short mindfulness exercise, like a mental spa for your brain. So picture this with me. Your class starts a few moments of mindful breathing, and suddenly everyone's more focused and ready to rock the day. Like you've transported your students to a serene oasis, and they're more focused, more present, and more ready to conquer the day with you. Once you get them over that weirdness hill, you'll witness the power of mindfulness in action. And it'll become a daily ritual that everyone actually looks forward to. Yes, even the jocks. But that's not all. We'll dive deeper into mindfulness practices in a future post that'll zen out your students and yourself. Because remember, we want to keep you from burning out too. So let's talk about the heart of teaching and supportive classrooms. Social emotional learning. It's like you've put on your Dr. Phil hat and become the emotional guru of your classroom. By exploring literature that delves into complex emotions and social issues, your students will connect with the characters and their own feelings. You'll be their mentor and confidant, guiding them through their emotional journey in a safe and supportive space. Having a simple journaling activity that goes along with highly emotional stories is a great way to tap into this. After all, teaching isn't just about books and essays. It's about nurturing young hearts, too. Okay, let's reveal the grading ninja moves. You don't have to drown in a sea of papers. I know, I've been there drowning too. But setting healthy grading boundaries is like being a grading superhero. Prioritize the essential learning objectives, and for the rest, simply consider not grading every activity or utilizing peer or self-assessment. Don't forget about all the tech tools at your disposal too. From Google Forms, gamified learning scores, and ZipGrade, you have tons of options. You just have to set them up in the beginning, and then you can just click and repeat and repeat and repeat, and it does the work for you. Okay, let's talk about essays. Is grading essays getting you down? Yeah, this one always piled up on my desk too. Here's my idea. host an essay madness week, kind of like March Madness, but for essays, where students have 2 days in class to write an essay, and then the rest of the week is spent with students reading each other's work, deciding which essay on the bracket wins, and advancing it to the next level. You can have copies of the anonymous essay shared in your LMS and have students write down feedback on scrap pieces of paper for voting ballots to be collected, tallied, and then that feedback gets forwarded on to the paper's owner. So they're still getting a ton of valuable feedback, and you don't have to do it all. Plus, students are having a chance to review other papers and see what works well in others' writing. It's like you've unlocked the secret to efficient grading without compromising on valuable feedback. You'll feel like you've won the grading game, and your students will appreciate everyone's thoughtful feedback even more. Sometimes they will listen more to their peers and their teacher. I know, shocking. But here's the thing overall. Setting boundaries, it's not about being rigid. It's about being kind to yourself. It's like you've finally realized you simply can't pour from an empty cup any longer. It's taking care of yourself, and that it's crucial for being the best teacher that you can be. So go ahead and prioritize your well-being. It's not selfish. Make time for hobbies and activities you love, and remember that self-care is the ultimate teacher superpower. And another side note here, our students are learning from us. We know that they're learning the content, but they're also learning behavior. If we are modeling burning out and not prioritizing our own needs, that's what they are going to learn. That is what they are going to continue to do in their own lives. They think that successful people have to be burnt out and suffering. Let's stop that. So, my ELA superheroes out there you have it. In Combating Burnout, an actionable guide for secondary ELA teachers, and in this post, you'll find laughter, practical strategies, and a whole lot of inspiration to create an unforgettable teaching experience. Remember, you're not just a teacher, you're a force of nature, shaping the minds of tomorrow's leaders. And with this guide by your side, you'll be unstoppable. Thanks for joining me on this journey of teaching, laughing, and thriving. I'll catch you in the next vlog, where we'll dive even deeper into the amazing world of ELA teaching. Stay awesome, my friends.
Thanks for listening to the Teacher Time Mastery Podcast with your host, Becky Czar. Tune in next week for another new episode designed just for secondary ELA teachers like you.